I have exciting news. The Brighter Side of Education is now officially CPD accredited, which means you can now earn continuing education credits just for listening. So stay tuned for details to learn how to claim your credits. Your professional development just got a little easier. What if the most effective therapy for struggling children happened not in an office, but in a barn? Traditional therapy relies on words, but equine therapy creates healing through movement, trust, and connection. Today, we're exploring biophilia, our innate affinity for animals, and how wild Mustangs are helping children overcome anxiety and trauma when conventional approaches fall short. Join me with Erin Cain from Grace Rain's Equine Therapy to discover how these remarkable animals are transforming children's lives and how parents and teachers can tap into this powerful approach. Welcome to the Brighter Side of Education, Research, Innovation, and Resources. I'm your host, Dr. Lisa Hassler, here to enlighten and brighten the classrooms in America through focused conversation on important topics in education. In each episode, I discuss problems we as teachers and parents are facing and what people are doing in their communities to fix it. What are the variables, and how can we duplicate it to maximize student outcomes? In a previous episode, equine-assisted psychotherapy helps ADHD students with therapist Joanne Tomer. We explored how working with horses supports children with ADHD by improving focus, self-regulation, and confidence. And if you're interested in that discussion, as well as the history of equine-assisted psychotherapy, I highly recommend going back to listen for a deep dive into the ADHD perspective. But today, we're expanding the conversation to look at how equine-assisted therapy can support children with a broader range of mental health challenges, from anxiety to emotional trauma. Research consistently shows that interaction with horses creates profound benefits for children's mental health. Studies in the Journal of Child and Family Studies demonstrate that equine-assisted interventions significantly reduce anxiety and stress in children with emotional and behavioral disorders. This therapeutic approach works on multiple levels. Physically, the rhythmic movement of horses activates the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation and emotional regulation, while psychologically, horses serve as natural biofeedback partners. Our innate tendency to connect with animals, what scientists call biophilia, explains why many children who struggle with traditional therapy thrive in the presence of horses. Unlike office-based approaches that rely on verbal expression, equine therapy offers a nonverbal path to healing that's particularly effective for children who have experienced trauma or face communication challenges. And that's where today's guest, Erin Cain, comes in. Erin is an equine specialist in mental health and learning and the founder of Grace Rain's Equine Therapy in Colorado, where she connects children with the healing power of horses. Her journey into equine-assisted therapy began with a lifelong passion for horses, but it was through a firsthand experience that she discovered their profound ability to support children's emotional well-being. Today, Erin is here to share how equine-assisted therapy works in practice, what makes horses such powerful therapeutic partners, and how parents and educators can explore this transformative approach for children in need. Welcome to the Brighter Side of Education, Erin. It's great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so important to talk about education and innovation with our kids and how we can help them learn things. And this is very timely. Thank you.
Your journey into equine-assisted therapy comes from a place of a deep personal connection. Can you share what experiences led you to establish Grace Rain's, and then how you've witnessed the healing power of horses in your own life before you brought it to children and families?
So, I've been in this field since the mid-90s, and then having gone back to school early 2000s to get my education in equine therapy as a equine specialist in mental health and learning, and also a therapeutic riding instructor, and just happened upon this program back in the Northeast, sort of marrying my love of horses and my desire to be of service in this life. So that was such a blessing to find equine therapy, and then subsequently, having loss and trauma and finding my own way, and understanding how that played an integral part in my healing. Most people can relate to how animals help us during difficult times and really every day, but especially we go to them often in crisis. So therapy dogs and therapy animals are much more prevalent in today's society. So once I had that experience and understanding of what they could do for us and what being around the horses and the many modalities in equine therapy, that was a no-brainer for me to go back to school and pursue my education so that I could bring it to more people.
What kind of observations have you made with that human-animal bond developing and those healing opportunities that is not possible in traditional settings?
Mm-hmm. Well, traditional modality of therapy can be very daunting and very intimidating, and we don't always have the words. Never mind connecting the feelings to words, right? So you're sort of taking all of that off the table in an equine therapeutic setting. You're not really asked to articulate what it is you're there for, what it is that you need. And honestly, just the herd observation and the horse observation and being in that space with the animal, there's several different things happening. We have this electromagnetic energy field that it is an enveloping heart space, a heart coherence, just a beautiful overall calming, grounding experience. And then you add to that you're in a non-judgmental space, a reset space where you can be back in touch with yourself and find your ground and find your baseline and begin to sort of unfurl, like, what is it that I'm trying to work with right now in my life? And how is this space going to mirror that for me? With the children in particular, it's really interesting to just sit with them and observe the dynamics in the herd because they're all dealing with so much in their social lives at school. And in this environment, we're observing the herd and we're mirroring and actually understanding how this dynamic works and who we are in that space. It's very empowering for them.
You brought up mirroring. And so what is mirroring and how does that affect things like heart rate and nervous system?
Yes. Well, just being in the space with the animals and depending upon, myriad of things with my clients, we can often just go into the space with the intention of down shoulders, to unclench our jaws, to be in the space with the horse, put our hands on the horse's bodies. They have a heart rate that is half of ours. So even though they're 10 times our size, their heart beats half the times that ours does. So that in and of itself, that encompassing energy can really help us to slow down, to breathe, to just let down our guard a little bit and, let that emotion come up, because what's happening physiologically with us will just invite that emotion to just bubble up. And the horse invites that naturally. So if they're feeling comfortable with you, they're just going to drop into that space with you. So that feels really good.
You work with kids on things like grief and loss, empathy, mindfulness, depression. And so I can see where having that physical connection with an animal makes it a little bit easier, that bridge to deal with that. And you work with wild Mustangs specifically. Can you talk about why the wild Mustangs and what distinctive qualities do those horses bring to therapeutic work? And how are the kids responding to that?
I don't know if you're familiar with the Mustang population in the West and how it's been eradicated over the last 50 years or so. The population is diminished to near extinction, actually. They've been rounded up and some of the government programs have holding pens for them, but mostly they've just been gone off to, it's a terrible thing to talk about, but they do go off to slaughter, many of them in Mexico. And that's a whole other terrible part of the story. But the good part of the story for us is that we've been able to tap into the rescue of the wild Mustangs and be able to adopt. That sort of started for us about 10 years ago, moving from the domestic horse population into the rescue. And so with the Mustangs in particular, a lot of them are adopted when they're very young. They just have such a story around them that when we share that story with people who have had great loss or addiction or had a dark journey of their lives, and when you share with them the resilience and the story of the Mustangs and how they came from such trauma and so much despair, and then coming to us and having the period of time where it could be, months or years really to be able to get them to downregulate and be able to trust us and build that trust again, is just a really powerful narrative for people that they can relate to.
You have educator wellness programs as well. How did you carve that out specifically for an educator wellness session? And how do they work? What kind of benefits have you seen?
Well, as you know, these are frontline workers, right? And in every way. And so it's an easy place to come to when you're treating the population, i.e. the children, and understanding every day that these paraprofessionals, school teachers, administrators, like what their lives are like on a day-to-day basis. So it was just a beautiful, supportive idea, just like a field trip or an end of year teachers coalition out. It has been a beautiful process, just a supportive program for all of those people that are doing that behind the scenes work.
Have you had any connections between students in the classroom and their teachers where you were able to serve the population from the same school? I could see where that could be very impactful.
Yes, that's exactly right, Lisa. And as you know, firsthand experience with the teachers, there's a lot put on them. And so, yes, bringing that together cohesively it makes so much sense. And it is just a lesson for all of us of how we're all working together, and there is no separation really, but because we have the privilege of modeling with children is just so powerful.
Thinking about serving a community. So you've got the child and now the teacher to help with that school relationship so that there's a better understanding of a different way to approach, but also like how to handle emotions, or like you're talking about the deregulating and the grounding. Do you do anything with families?
Yes, we can see each other differently in a different setting. I mean, this is a very unique setting for most people that they don't have experience with it. And so they're coming with like a freshness and an openness. And so any opportunity to see one another with fresh eyes and in a new setting, you really begin to recognize each other individually. And last week there was a family here and the dad started to tell this story he had as a child with horses. And his wife said, "Well, I never knew that about you." And the kids said, they were 15 and 17. They said, "We don't know this part of your story. We don't know this about you." And I thought that is so beautiful. And that's a lot of what this invites, and inadvertently teach the ones they love, like, this is a part of me and this is another aspect of me. It changes a lot of things when we see each other holistically, and this environment gives that opportunity. So thank you for bringing that up, Lisa. That's another really beautiful aspect of experiences here.
We had a connection problem, and so now Erin is joining us on her phone.
Great. Thank you so much. Yep. Sorry for the technical challenges, but I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to talk about all of this and help people and educate people to understand that there are other opportunities and different modalities for getting through tough times in school or in adulthood or whatever, wherever they're at in their life or journey. Yeah.
Teachers, families, you're really supporting the entire community. And a lot of educators either might experience it themselves or know about it because of children that you're serving or families. And so I can see where then they might be excited about the ways that they can promote emotional regulation in their own classrooms and want to use biophilia as a way to be able to do it. If they have, the opportunity to reference students or families to your services because they're local, that would be amazing. But let's say they don't have any access and they still want to have that kind of impact in their own classroom. Are there things that they can do to, promote that biophilia in their own classroom?
Yes, absolutely. Well, any type of breath work or relaxation exercises. I know when my son was in grammar school, I remember him coming home and saying they did yoga in school, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's so precious. It's so wonderful. I often say we do a lot of kids summer camps in the summertime, obviously, and the kids get out of the van or transportation, and it's just like Lord of the Flies, and then we gather them up and we sit them in a circle and we do some deep breath work or whatever yoga pose. And they just are in such a different energy within 10 minutes. It's just it's really precious. And so you can invite that same idea into a classroom, of course, not to say that it would be easy peasy, but anything that, gets on a schedule. If they know, like Monday mornings, we're going to do some yoga, or we're going to do breath work, or this teacher invites us to stand up out of our desks and stretch our arms to the ceiling and to the side, and to any kind of somatic activity will help the kids to get grounded. You can have them do some visual exercises if you're in an urban environment and you can't go outside and sit on the grass. You can travel in your mind. You can do a visual exercise. You close your eyes and let's travel to a farm, or let's travel to an ocean. It doesn't take much, especially when it's done alongside of breath work, to get our brains to travel away from where we are and quiet our monkey brains. Even if it's for a few minutes, you're sort of building a cellular memory for all of us. But, with children who are so malleable and precious, you can do something 10 minutes a week and it'll develop inside of them on a cellular level where teach the kids here, when you leave here, you're taking this with you. It's inside of you. It's easy for us to remember our trauma. It's easy for us to access, like, we talk a lot about triggers and things in our world, but you can also access your joyful and happy memories. And you can also access your calm self. That is all inside of us cellularly as well. And so that is a good reminder for all of us to have those moments during the week where we say, okay, I'm super stressed out. I'm driving and I'm tense and let's just do that 5-minute exercise. Let's take, just doing that, like literally, I think sometimes I'm driving and people are probably looking at me like I'm crazy, but nobody's looking at us. Is another reminder for us, just doing those jaw and shoulders exercises and deep breath it changes your chemistry really quickly. So those are good reminders, and they can be with us. They're with us all the time.
I love that. And I used to do like meditations and with children, and we did yoga in the classroom as well when I felt like they were getting extra squirmy.
Yes.
And that was a wonderful way to be able to just kind of relax and recenter. And we push the desks aside and take off our shoes and put on this wonderful video. It was called Cosmic Yoga, and she did yoga stretching to stories, and the kids loved it. It could do like Star Wars or, we picked it based on time limit and their interests. But so it was so much fun. And the kids really listened. They were engaged. They were stretching. And I saw such a difference when they returned back to classroom activities. They really enjoyed that break. It was a mental, physical break. And then also I did teach at a religious school. So we did some prayer, and but I would have them do visual meditations. I would say, okay, you're going to close your eyes. And I put on calm music, background background nature sounds. And then tell them you are walking through a field. Put your fingers out. You're touching the tops of the grass. The sun is on your cheeks. Raise your face up and feel the warmth on your face. We would just do these visual meditations, and it was wonderful, really beneficial, and it's easy to do. You can do it anywhere, you know? You don't need anything for that. So
yes, that's right.
Then looking towards the future, how do you envision equine-assisted therapy becoming more integrated into mainstream mental health and education support systems? And what would you like parents and educators to understand about this potential?
Well, thank you, Lisa. And certainly people like yourself, educating people is critical, getting it out there, having people know that it's out there and accessible. Hopefully that will grow and grow. There are many, many facilities across the country. There's PATH is the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship, and that is my sort of mothership. And that's a global organization. These programs are all over the world in like war-torn countries. You know, I remember working with a girl from Eastern Europe, and she had used caution tape to make a round pen. It makes me emotional to make a round pen to work with children in her area and to keep the horses. It's just incredible. All that to say that that is the main organization that I work under. And if you go online and look up where these programs are, chances are hopefully there'll be something nearby, or somebody knows somebody that's maybe doing their own program on a smaller scale. But getting it into the schools and getting it into the mental health arena as an opportunity and an option for people in a sort of non-traditional modality is just so important. And that's what we're trying to do with the help of people like you.
And then I think about, when kids are saying, I want to be this when I grow up, they could do this. They could learn. They could become one.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. I know we do internships with the kids at the high school. We work with the court system. We do community service programs. So, and people come out and they just go, oh my gosh, I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know this even existed, but I love animals and I love helping people. And so there's that marriage there for them. And whether it be, that the people are working sort of in the back of the house, if you will, to support the program, that they're feeding the horses, they're volunteering, in the barn to do fencing projects, and such an uplifting experience whenever we're in service to others. So giving that opportunity is just such a privilege. And I'm just the conduit. I'm the one that gets to hold the space here, but there's so many magical people. The people that actually come are doing the work and are wanting to do better and be better and feel better. So they're the heroes.
I love
here
that.
with the horses. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing all of these insights about the healing power of horses and your wild Mustangs and things that you're doing out there in Colorado, and then letting others know about it. So, we can pick up that work and do it in other places so that it spreads.
Thank you so much. It's our privilege, and I really appreciate your time and what you're doing to help people as well. Thank you so much, Lisa.
The research is clear. Our natural connection to animals offers powerful healing opportunities. Equine therapy taps into this biophilia to help children develop resilience, emotional regulation, and confidence, often when traditional approaches have hit roadblocks. If today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to explore equine-assisted therapy programs in your local community. While Erin's Grace Reigns program operates in Colorado, similar therapeutic approaches are available across the country. Ask local riding stables, mental health providers, or school counselors about certified equine therapy options near you. If you have a story about what's working in your schools that you'd like to share, you can email me at lisa@drlisarhassler.com or visit my website at www.drlisarhassler.com and send me a message. If you like this podcast, subscribe and tell a friend. The more people that know, the bigger impact it will have. And if you find value to the content in this podcast, consider becoming a supporter by clicking on the supporter link in the show notes. It is the mission of this podcast to shine light on the good in education so that it spreads, affecting positive change. So let's keep working together to find solutions that focus on our children's success. Thanks for listening to today's episode. These conversations, insights, and resources are valuable professional development, and now they officially count. So here's how it works. Specific episodes are marked as CPD eligible, and after listening, you'll be able to download a certificate of completion. This can go towards your required annual learning hours. So head to the show notes, and there you'll find the link and unique episode code needed to claim your certificate.